What's going on, Bulls Nation? The Chicago Bulls play against the Miami Heat tomorrow, their first game in the regular season. And as a lot of Bulls content creators are doing, I'm going to give you my season predictions for the 2022-23 Bulls season. Just kind of give you a little preview of what this video is going to be about. I'm going to tell you where I think the Bulls are going to finish in the standings. I'm going to tell you how many wins and their record, and I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to predict what seed they're going to end at the end of the season. I did this last year. I'm going to continue doing it. I'm going to give 5 predictions for the season. And these are more like player based. It's not, it could be like, a team stat. It could be, a player doing something special. I think these are like very unique and not like, oh, the Bulls are going to have 2 All-Stars this season or something general, right? I think these are like very unique predictions that I think could happen. So I'm going to give you those 5. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what I deem as a successful year for the Chicago Bulls. There is a very big caveat in it of what I think the Bulls need to do to have a successful year. But I'm going to tell you what I think is going to be a successful year, as last season, in my opinion, was a successful year, and I hope the Bulls continue that success. But before we get into it all, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. All right, I'm going to tell you where I think the Bulls are going to finish in the Eastern Conference. And right here, I think the Bulls are going to finish 6th in the Eastern Conference again. I think they're going to be between the 5 and 7 seed this year. I know everyone's kind of all over the place. I've seen a lot of people put the Bulls at 9. I don't think the Bulls are going to be that bad, but I don't think they're going to be top 4 either. So I have them basically middle of the pack at the Eastern Conference. Again, last season had the Bulls between the 4 and 6 seed. They unfortunately were the 6 seed, but I got that right. I am predicting between the 5 and 7 seed. I'm going to say, though, most likely the 6th seed. And my record prediction is 48 and 34. And I'm going to predict that they're going to win between 47 and 49 wins. Or 49 games, excuse me. But, you're probably thinking, well, that's a better record from last season. But just because you have a better record doesn't mean that you're going to move up in the standings. I think that this year is going to be very interesting to see, as there's going to be so many teams tanking because of the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. That I think that you're going to see the top teams in the East, like the top 10 teams in the East, their numbers are going to be a little inflated because the bottom 5 teams in the East are going to tank so hard that the other teams are going to get extra wins because of it. So that's the reason why I think the Bulls are going to get probably 2 to 3 extra more wins than last season. I think they're going to play better than last season in overall. But just because of that, and because the East got better, and other teams are tanking, I don't think that it's going to directly correlate the Bulls making a big jump. As you can see from last year, the Miami Heat won 53 games last season and got the 1 seed, right? I think what I could see this season is like the 1 seed has like 56, 57 wins, and then every team below that kind of has like 2 to 3 extra wins. So as the Bulls get a little extra wins, everyone else gets a little extra wins. Therefore, it just kind of all evens out again. That's the reason why I have the Bulls, again, just stuck at the 6th seed. Now, there are 4 teams right now in my head that I think are currently better than the Bulls. The Milwaukee Bucks, Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics, kind of the 3 that I think everyone has like the contenders in the East. And then I put the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, the Cavs, they haven't played together with Donovan Mitchell. They need to build that chemistry, and you can absolutely argue that. But in my opinion, that Cavs team is really scary. They have a lot of talent on that team, and what's scary to me is that Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, they've had chemistry for a little bit, and then obviously they added Evan Mobley last season. I think that Cavs team is deep. I think them adding Donovan Mitchell is not going to be kind of like how the Bulls like basically flipped their entire roster last season, so the chemistry just wasn't there. So I think the Cavs are going to basically bring in Donovan Mitchell pretty fluidly, and that's the reason why I think that they're going to be better than the Bulls this year. But I don't have the Cavs better than these 3 teams, but I think they're going to be better than the Bulls. That's just my prediction. That's the reason why I don't have the Bulls between 4 and 7, because I think the Cavs get the 4 seed. But just to kind of give you an overview of where I think the Eastern Conference is going to be for all the teams, the 1 through 3 seeds, I have the 76ers, Bucks, and Celtics. This is not in order where I think they're going to end, by the way. I don't have the 76ers as the 1 seed. This is just in general, like, where just putting teams in categories. So obviously these are like the contenders in the East. So they're going to be the 1 through 3 seeds. And then this right here is like going to be the dogfight in the Eastern Conference. I think the Cavs, Bulls, Raptors, Heat, and Nets are going to be absolutely fighting it out 4 through 8. Like, this is going to be an absolute dogfight. So this is going to be interesting to watch all season, and that's the reason I had the Bulls like right in the middle of this season. And then 9 through 10, I had the Hawks and the Knicks making the last two spots in the play-in. I know the Hawks got better. I know the Knicks got better. But again, as everyone's saying, well, the East got better. That's the reason why they had the Bulls going lower. Well, the Hawks got better, but the rest of the East also got better too. So, you kind of have to use the same argument, right? The Knicks, they're going to be interesting to see with Jalen Brunson. I don't really expect them to be that much better, but we'll see. And then eliminated from the play-in, the teams that are probably going to be tanking, except for the Wizards, are all the way down here and not going to make the play-in tournament. So this is my Eastern Conference, and I want to kind of go back to a year where, like, I think that this is where we're going to kind of see the Eastern Conference, and it's this year right here, 2015-16 NBA standings. The 3 through 6 seed all had 48 wins, right? I can see that happening this year between the 4 and 8 seeds. Like, or, they all kind of have like maybe all 47 wins or something like that. I could definitely see that happening this year because of, the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes and, the bottom teams are just going to be tanking so hard. And in this year, the Philadelphia 76ers were in the middle of the process, and they only won 10 games this season. So that's the reason why I think that you're going to see the top teams get a little extra wins, and the bottom teams are just going to be so bad this year because of it. So that's where I have my Eastern Conference standings. Agree or disagree with me, I'm totally fine with it. But that's where I have them right now. So on to my 5 predictions. I did this last year, and I want to continue doing this. I think this is actually a really fun thing. And just so you know, like, this isn't just me being like a general, like, oh, Zach LaVine's gonna be an all-star. Like, that's not fun. I like to make these kind of unique. So, just for example, the first one is I think Ayo Dosunmu is gonna have a big leap this year. And one of the things I think is that Ayo Dosunmu is gonna be considered a starting caliber point guard across the league at the end of the year. And that doesn't mean that he has to start. It just means that he can start on a lot of teams. And also, people will think that he's actually a point guard. I think he's a point guard. You can disagree with me on that, but a lot of people are saying he's not a natural point guard. And I'm just like, really? Like, are we still on this? But anyway, I think at the end of the year, we're looking at Ayo Dosunmu being, like, his values to be around 4 years, $80 million. I think that you're going to see him actually take a big enough leap where his values would be around that. And I think the good comparison is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart last season averaged 12 points, about 6 assists. Obviously, he's a great defender. His 3-point percentage isn't that amazing, but he's kind of like the glue on the Celtics team. And Marcus Smart, I mean, look, this is his contract, 4 years, $76 million, and I can 100% see Ayo having that sort of value at the end of this season. And remember, he's also young. He's a young player, so I think people are going to be very willing to give him that sort of money. If you're wondering, like, ooh, are the Bulls going to be able to keep Ayo Dosunmu? Well, guess what? I got a video made about that already, so go check this out. Basically, the answer is yes. The Bulls are going to be able to keep Ayo Dosunmu. A lot of people are kind of concerned, like, oh, the Bulls don't have his bird rights. He only signed a 2-year deal, so they can't give him an extension. He's about to hit restricted free agency, and what if a team comes in and gives him a massive offer? Well, let me tell you right now, the Bulls have every ability to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu. So he is not going anywhere, in my opinion, unless Jerry Reinsdorf has something to say about it, which I'll be very upset about. But the most, at least what I've seen, is that the most that another team can offer Ayo is this much money. That's like the most that he can make. So therefore, the Bulls have every ability to re-sign Ayo Dosunmu. But if you want to see more in depth on this whole thing, check out this video. Please watch it, because the amount of people that still don't understand the Bulls can re-sign Ayo after the season, or are talking about giving him an extension this season, is ridiculous. Because the Bulls cannot give him an extension this season because he's on a 2-year deal. You need to have a 3-year contract to get an extension. And then I think he's going to shoot 35% or better from 3-point range this season. And this is with him taking like 3 to 4 or 5 3-point attempts per game. So I do think that Ayo's going to have a very solid year from 3-point range, and he looked really good in the preseason, and I hope that continues as well. One other thing to note is that I would assume, man, he's a phenomenal defender. I don't think people understand that, but when you talk about point of attack defenders in the league, I would assume is one of the best. This is from Basketball or B-Ball Index. He's one of the best point of attack defenders. So is Javonte Green. And I'm not saying that Ayo Dosunmu is Lonzo Ball, as he's also here, but when it comes to perimeter defense, I think I would assume it is basically on par with Lonzo. Lonzo, when it comes to help defense, when it comes to getting in the passing lanes, he's better, 100%. But when it comes to perimeter defense, I think Ayo Dosunmu is basically on point with Lonzo Ball. He doesn't get as many like deflections either, but perimeter defense, I think Ayo is legit. Next prediction I have is that the Bulls will be a top 15 defense this season. Last year they finished 23rd in defensive rating, which is like awful, right? We saw the Bulls, their defensive rating absolutely tanked when Lonzo and Caruso went out. But this year, I think that there's going to be a much better team defense or collective team defense, and they're going to prioritize protecting the paint more. Last season, the Bulls gave up this many points in the paint per game, which is not good. This was 22nd in the league, and it was just overall bad. Now, remember, paint protection isn't solely on the big man. It's also on the guards to make sure that they limit ball penetration. And once Caruso and Lonzo went out, the Bulls didn't have that. And I'm actually saying this even if Lonzo Ball is out for the season. And I actually think the Bulls are going to be a much better defensive team. I made a defensive video, or made a video on the Bulls defense in the preseason, so go check that out. I posted that on Monday. And I've showed you how I think the Bulls are like really prioritizing protecting the paint. And even in this clip right here by Billy Donovan, you can hear like, oh no, the Bulls are protecting the paint. Just listen to this for just a second.
We've got to do a better job of protecting the paint.
See, so this was already a thing from the preseason. Like, this was their identity, is that we're going to be protecting the paint much better this season. And he continued to go on and talk about, scrambling, stuff like that. So I think the Bulls are going to be a much better defense protecting the paint. And I think it's going to correlate to them to being a top 15 defense this season. Next prediction is that if he stays healthy, I think Alex Caruso is going to finish top 3 in Sixth Man of the Year voting. And obviously last year Caruso missed 41 games. That killed the Bulls. But I think Caruso in the offseason made a huge thing about building up his stamina and building up his body so he can take the hits and not have to miss as many games. I think that he's going to be so crucial for this team because he is going to be probably in the closing and crunch time lineups. I see him playing over Ayo Dosunmu in the crunch time. That's not saying that Ayo can't play in a crunch time, but I think Caruso is just so valuable that he's going to be out there. And the reason why I think he's going to be top 3 in the Sixth Man of the Year voting is because I think he's going to make an all defensive team. That's the only reason why he's going to make the Sixth Man of the Year voting. Is because of his defense. He doesn't score, 15 points per game, but his defense is so good that he's going to be in my opinion, in the Sixth Man of the Year voting at the end of the year. And again, just to kind of point out, like he doesn't score many points, but you see here he plays basically starter minutes. So I expect Caruso still to get those starter level minutes, and that's the reason why he's going to be up for Sixth Man of the Year voting at the end of the year. My fourth prediction is that I think the Bulls are going to make a trade at the deadline. I know this is kind of general, but I do see the Bulls making some sort of move. The expiring contracts are Vucevic, White, Green, and Dosunmu. The only person that can get an extension out of these 4 is Vucevic currently. Kobe White and the Bulls did not come to an agreement on Monday. So the only person that can get an extension is Vucevic. I don't see any of these guys actually getting traded, honestly, except maybe for White. Because he's about to hit restricted free agency, and the Bulls probably want to get something for him without losing him for nothing. But the other person I can kind of see getting traded is Derrick Jones Jr., and the reason why is because he's kind of already out of the rotation. Billy Donovan has even said he's looking to run a 10-man rotation, and even in that 10-man rotation, he's not in the rotation. So that's going to be interesting to watch if maybe the Bulls get rid of him, just to maybe clear up some playing time for Dalen Terry. This is something that I'm definitely going to be keeping my tabs on all season. And then when Lonzo comes back, if he comes back, which is a big if, it gets even more of a long jam. So that's going to be interesting to see. But I do think the Bulls, it's probably going to be minor, are going to make a trade at the trade deadline. So that's just my prediction because last season, the Bulls didn't make a trade and a lot of people were upset. But this year, I think the Bulls are going to make a trade to get off a contract or, maybe open up some playing time. And last prediction I have is that I believe Dalen Terry cracks the rotation at some point. Now, I don't think that he's going to be like 100% a mainstay. But I could see Dalen Terry at some point cracking the rotation for like 2 weeks straight, or maybe a month, where he's getting consistent rotational minutes. And I don't know, like, if he's going to play over anybody. I have to pick Kobe White. Like, let's say Kobe White goes to a shooting slump. But this is just kind of my prediction. Like, I think Dalen Terry is going to force Billy Donovan to have to give him some sort of minutes, because he's so versatile, and this team needs versatility so bad. And if a player like Kobe White isn't knocking down a shot, well, you go with the defense, right? So that's something I think is actually going to happen this year. Again, I don't think he's going to play every single game, but I do see him at some point being in the rotation for a consistent amount of time. Not the entire season, but he's going to get consistent minutes. And this is with assuming everyone is healthy except for obviously Ball. So that's my 5 predictions. Let me know what you think about my 5 predictions. I think they're pretty feasible. I think I can see all 5 of these happening, and they're pretty unique as well. And to finish the video, here is what I deem to be a successful year for the Chicago Bulls, which is there's 2 parts of this. If Lonzo Ball is 100% healthy for the playoffs, or is not 100% healthy for the playoffs, is not 100% healthy for the playoffs, what is, in my opinion, a successful year is you make the playoffs, and then you make the first round, whoever it is, you make the round long, and you make it a close series, okay? That's, in my opinion, really good. So whether Lonzo is not playing for this team in the playoffs or is just not 100%, then that's my that's my bar for a successful season. If Lonzo Ball is 100% healthy for the playoffs, obviously make the playoffs, but then, in my opinion, you have to win a playoff series, because now you have the 4 core guys that we're looking at. And if those 4 core guys in Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, and Ball cannot win a playoff series, that's an absolute failure. So if all 4 of them are healthy, then you have to win a playoff series. That is crucial. But if they're not healthy, then in my opinion, a successful year is obviously make them playoffs. You have to make the playoffs, but just make the first round series a long one and a close one. So 6 or 7 games, just make them really close. You have to win at least two games in that series. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. I went a little long. I apologize. I'm so sorry. But those are my season predictions for the Chicago Bulls for the 2022-23 season. I am looking forward to this season a lot. I am looking to see this Bulls team build on their success from last season, and I hope it's going to be a fantastic year. Another reminder, after the Bulls and Heat game, I am going to be live streaming my post-game reaction on this channel, so make sure you are there for that. I hope to see you there in the chat, and hopefully it's a Bulls win. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.